Hey there, welcome to July 31st, 2020, to the last day of July. I'm a little on edge. Not on edge, it's not the right word. Just a little eager for August. I have another big project that begins in earnest. It's going to require my attention and time, and I'm already thick in it with my others. So, time to up the level of energy. Up the ante, as they say. And I'm thinking about it this morning because it's the last day, and I've been all along through July. I was like, well, at least it's not August. At least it's not August. Well, guess what? Tomorrow it's August. So, good news. I slept till the alarm again. I think that's like 3 nights in a row, or 3 mornings in a row. I slept all the way to the alarm. Stop the presses. That's big news. I mean, I've been suffering from this pre-dawn insomnia, pre-waking, whatever I might call it, for 2 years now. And I think that's 3 nights in a row that this has been the case. Now, true, I've set the alarm for 4:30, so I'm waking up earlier. So that was coincidental with my going back into the office because I needed to get up earlier to get all my chores done, taking care of the dogs, namely, before I go into the office. But still, wow. Could it be that going back into the office was the key? Let's see how this next week goes. Oh, this video is my daily effort, my daily video to remind myself of my life objectives and principles, to categorically enumerate and describe them. Well, I don't have to describe them. All I have to do is say them, but sometimes I choose to describe them as well. That's a better time when I do that. And then I also think about how I did applying these to yesterday's opportunities and challenges, and then to plan for the next 24 hours. So let's do this. First, the 7 objectives. These are as follows. Number 1 is to be always ready to die, to have my personal affairs, my relationships, and my life's work in good, sound order, so that if I keel over dead today, I'll leave things in as settled a state as I can. And then looking at my life right now, I believe that all 3 of those are in good order. Number 2 is to well, I struggled with this one yesterday too. I had a hard time getting to number 2. Oh yeah, to make good and effective use of my time, to not waste or spend my time in a way that in a way that is not it's not that it has to be productive. Fruitful is a better word. Fruitful use of time, yeah. I believe yesterday was really good. I spent a lot of time reading yesterday. That's a great use of time. And a lot of time with my wife yesterday, who we just increasingly, it's like as our parenting years wind down, our direct parenting years, that is, we find each other again. That's good. That's a good use of time too. Number 3 is to develop and maintain good life objectives and principles. That's the first time I've ever added the word objectives to that. I wonder why I didn't do that. I always said principles, just principles before. It should be objectives and principles. I had to update the book. Next is to cultivate good emotional reactions. Just to become the type of human being who reacts well to the circumstances around me. so they don't fly off the handle or become too upset, unduly upset. Is there such a thing as being duly upset? I think so. It's good coffee, nice and strong. Just what I need this early morning hour. Next is to perform good actions, just to do good things throughout the day, be a helpful, kind, and thrifty person, just like a Boy Scout, which I once was. Well, I was a weeblo. I don't think I quite made it to Boy Scout. I didn't make it to Boy Scout. Boy Scouts weren't for me. Next is to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities, what I can and cannot possibly do, what's within my scope of capabilities, and then to do just one thing at a time, and to do that thing slowly and carefully and deliberately. Next is to, I don't know why I'm struggling here just a little bit. It's not that I'm struggling, it's like I'm distracted. You know, things are popping up in my mind through right through the subliminal. There's kind of creeping up. It's like seeing a little man, behind a boulder, poking up from behind a boulder, waving a flag. It's like, what's that? That's what's happening in my brain right now. Little ideas. Okay, so then I said it was good reactions. Cultivate good emotional reactions, and then to perform good actions. War, reason. What? I'm all messed up. I think I just finished the 7 objectives. I don't think I started the principles. Am I losing my mind? Where was I? Okay, so I did the 7 objectives. Now I'm doing the principles. War, to always be fighting against what I think is true. Reason, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, and doubt, which are the instruments I use in the aforementioned war. Homunculus, the suggestion that though I do not have a soul, I do have a consciousness, and that consciousness is something that I need to husband and maintain. And I also need to remember that it's mortal, so that I can cherish and make good use of it while I've got it, which is a funny thing because I won't know that I no longer have it. And then the Anchorhold is a further reminder about the mortality of my consciousness, that it will suffer and die with me, and that it weathers the storms of life and enjoys the good sunny days of life as well. This has been a really helpful principle to me, the Anchorhold. I use it a lot. And then the next one is the home of good and evil. With no God in the universe, there is no absolute right or wrong, and no good or evil that exist outside of our opinions. So it's careful. I have to be careful to use my reason, my honesty, objectivity, and doubt to call out what are useful and true constructs of right and wrong. True in the sense that what they entail helps to improve the well-being of thinking creatures, which is one of my which is one part of my purpose. Okay, that came out good. I think I like that. Next comes the principle of purpose, which I was just getting to, and the three sub-principles of biology, which I almost changed recently. I almost changed its title, and I can't even remember what I was going to change it to. Biology is the mandate to reproduce, to have children, which is as close to an absolute purpose as we can get. Virtue is the second sub-purpose, which is the second purpose, part of the overall umbrella of purpi. Virtue is to help improve the well-being of thinking creatures. Biology, virtue, and mission is some mission that I want to attain in my life, which for me was the development of the Good Life Creed by virtue of going alone, and to now share that, which I do every day when I make this video. Making and sharing this video is the fulfillment of my mission, of my personal mission. It's good I got through purpose. Next is the atomic principle. Everything is made of atoms and molecules and is subject to change and transformation. That's the same thing. And then comes the principle of nature. Everything has some particular nature, and it's worthwhile and good to recognize what that nature is, to expect that nature to manifest itself. Like it's my nature to be nervous when I have a new project on the horizon, on the immediate horizon. Did I mention it's almost August? Then comes the pirate ride. An idea, by the way, that I can't prove, but I'm deeply suspicious is true, that free will is an illusion. That though we are free to make any choice we like, we could never have made any other choice than the one that we actually do. The ones that we actually do. This is not determinism. This is closer to compatibilism, that simply the universe has so much to say about our decision making that it's largely or maybe entirely not up to us. We are simply the reaction engines to all the influences going on around us, and we flatter ourselves thinking that we have some self-control, that we have some control. Our control is the same control that a river has to wind its course, now to the left bank and then again to the right, straight for a while, to linger in a pool, to cascade down rapids and over waterfalls, and again to the left and again to the right. The river seems to meander of its accord, but we know better. We know that it's not. We know that the river is just abiding the forces around it. I think that's what we are doing too. Nothing more than that. So why can't I liberate myself from my worry and concern over my decisions? I don't know. It's such a convincing illusion, this free will. The seeming free will. Okay, that was Pirate Ride. Next comes maturity and the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude. We are mature when we wisely remember our past failures and successes and strive to do better. Then comes the social principle. We are social creatures, we need each other, and our best ends are social ends. So seek society, seek companionship, seek each other. Then comes this social principle. After the social principle comes public speaking. A reminder to be very careful in my communications, both written and spoken. To be prudent in what I say. Yeah, that's the word. Sometimes you can just get the right word. Prudent with what I say. Prudence, prudence, prudence. The right words, the right phrases, even the right audience. A racy chart, eh? Never mind, it's the project manager and me speaking. I like that. Didn't I already add it somewhere? I thought I added it to Temperance. It belongs here. Okay. Next comes Temperance, our controlled consumption of all things, food and drink and emotions and everything. Measured consumption. And there's 3 sub-principles. This is where I think I had previously put prudence, actually. I don't know if it belongs here. The 3 sub-principles are on suffering, because we suffer when we deny ourselves what we want. Simplicity, because a simple life is a prudent life. And apathy. Although, gosh darn it, I really need to print up the good life, because I've changed it so much lately that I can't keep track of where I changed it. I am sure I put apathy on a different shelf. Not here, but there it is. How'd you get there? Apathy is our ability to recognize what is outside of our control, and then to not be unduly engaged towards it, connected to it. You know, the weather. A good and classic example of where apathy can be applied. You know, there's no reason to feel engaged or connected or upset or happy about the weather. The weather just is what it is. What you and I want or say will have no impact. It's simply we need to adjust to. So much in our life is like the weather, although we forget that and we engage with it, and it causes us undue upset and emotional churn. Okay, after temperance comes the new principle that I recently added, which is life will not go well. Life is hard, and even the simplest of tasks are fraught with upset. What was it? Who was the singer that, you know, the black fly in my Chardonnay? You know, it's the what is it? The rain on your wedding day. I'm getting the song wrong. I can't even remember her name, but she lists all those things. That's what life is, right? Everything that we do and attempt is going to, you know, stumble across it all. And the trick is to not avoid it, because it's impossible to avoid. Life is messy. The trick is to expect that, to see it for what it is, and to, if not accept it, at least abide that fact. The next principle is called the horror show. The horror show is something worse. The horror show is when not just upsetting our cadence in life, not just when life goes poorly or when we stumble through life, but when really bad stuff happens, you know. I mean, I don't even want to start listing off things. You get the idea, right? And it's a degree of horror, like you know, Jason, Friday the 13th horror, in a way, of, you know, maybe not with the knife and the axe, although sometimes that. Diagnosis of stage 4 cancer is probably as scarier than any horror, the worst horror movie ever. Scarier than Saw. Even though I haven't seen that, I would never watch that movie. It's just, you know, I don't do horror. Life's got enough horror of its own. True horror. So, I mean, so that's the thing. So this principle is to remind myself of 2 things. One, that it's happening. Horror, if not happening in my life right now, it's happening all around me. It's happening up and down this block where I live. And it's coming for this family. It's coming for my family. And soon. And my options are to weather or retreat. If you wonder what I mean by retreat, then study the Stoics. That's one of their options. You know, suicide is basically what it is, right? I mean, you can weather the horror, ride it out, either possibly through the other side into clear weather, or into the rocks and into the deep. Or, if you've had enough, as I think it was Seneca that said, lift your wrists. I'm not suggesting suicide to anybody. I'm being purely philosophical here. That's how the Stoics viewed it, right? I mean, there's a ready exit. Then the reason that I'm saying this is again, not to encourage anyone to kill themselves, but to point out that knowing that we have a ready exit, in a sense, is like having an insurance policy. It's like, if it really, really becomes bad, then at least I can just end it. And I've kind of talked to my wife about this, and it's a tricky one because she's not that comfortable with the idea. I think she's more comfortable with, she would, you just kind of let the course happen and go at it. So it's this point where we don't quite see eye to eye. Maybe it's not even that we don't see eye to eye. It's just that I know her nature, I know her culture, and even though choosing a noble end is a part of her culture, this is something different. I've long envisioned that if I were to come to that point in my current life circumstance, and I could get my affairs in a settled state, and all I had ahead of me was a painful, suffering descent into death, and that would ruin my family's finances, cause untold suffering to everyone around me. Then, as soon as I had everything in order, if I had a confident second opinion from another doctor that indeed this seems to be the case, then I might choose a hot day in the late spring, midsummer, early fall for a one-way hike into the desert. Wouldn't take much, wouldn't be that bad an out, and it would. And I actually did talk to Yumiko about this, and I can't remember why is it that I can't remember what she said. What did she say? It was as always with her. It's so practical. It was such a practical, common sense statement. Not really being surprised by what I said, but curious about the practicality of it all. Anyway, I've lingered long on this, but you get the idea, right? I mean, there's something to that, to having that out entertained, and as an option that kind of at least for myself, readies myself for the horror show. Because I know the horror show will come. It might be brief and it might be quick. It might be brief or it might be long. You can go a lot deep into Stoicism on this one. I think that's enough for today. And then the next one is after the horror show comes, and I deliberately laid these three in place. So, life will not go well, leading to the horror show, and then finally, that which must be born is the last of that. What do you call it? Trifecta, triad of principles. And that which must be born suggests that there's just some things that we have to bear in life, including the vicissitudes of each day, the ups and downs, the challenges. Excuse me, I'm kind of itchy. And then another thing we have to bear is the horror show. Yeah. Okay. That which must be born. Okay, the next are another two principles that kind of go together. One is the principle of distraction. We distract ourselves throughout our lives with all the things that we keep us busy, our school and our jobs and our hobbies, our families, our dramas, and our religion, among others. We do that in order that we don't have to see what I call the great indifference, the emptiness of the universe without God. For a lot of us, we don't want to apprehend that we're alone, that at least we have each other. So we keep ourselves quite busy all of our days. La, 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 la. I don't want to hear the silence. There's a line. That would make an interesting essay title. I don't want to hear the silence. Okay, so I did those. Okay, so the next is the best seat in the house, to not want to be anyone else or be anywhere else or be doing anything else, but to be okay with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing right here, right now, right who. I love to say that. Next comes the Path of Wildness. The Path of Wildness is a way to break out of a current life paradigm in favor of a new direction and new way of doing things, new life basically. And it begins by entertaining the thought, deciding the way forward. And if the decision making can be informed of our gut, we may not have enough facts. So you decide, you entertain the idea, you collect the facts, you give yourself some time to think about it, and then you make a choice. If you need more time to collect more facts, then continue doing that process for a while, but not forever, because you'll burn up your whole life just deliberating. At some point, you have to say, it's time to make a decision. If I've got enough facts, great, I make the decision. If not, then I'll use my gut feelings. For example, the time that Himiko and I, the decision that we made for the Great Life Adventure to return to Japan in 2003 with baby Emily, with little Emily, that was a decision contemplated by the two of us, mulled over with the facts in detail, and then ultimately we made a gut decision while we were driving on a highway in Ventura County, and we went 1, 2, 3, and we each said yes or no, and we said yes to going. That was stepping under the path of wildness. This new decision to go back, no gut feeling there at all. It was all, we're going back to Japan as soon as our daughter's grown, as soon as she's done with college. No gut feeling there at all. That was all facts and deliberation, and just, yeah, okay, the facts are clear, let's go. Foregone conclusion. But if you don't have enough facts, then you can use your gut feeling, remembering that the gut may not be right. The gut could lead you off the edge of a cliff and to a bad, terrible mistake. It's a risk you got to take. Okay, the path of wildness then is the off-ramp from one life to another. The Great Life Adventure is the next principle. That is the experience that you're going to have when you begin the experience of the Great Life Adventure from the moment that the decision is made to off-ramp the current life, even before you even before you get off the highway. Like Yumiko and I are on the Great Life Adventure now of our return to Japan, even though we're still here, and we're still here for a couple more years, maybe a couple, 5 years, but we're on the path, and the Great Life Adventure has begun. I really ought to start a new YouTube playlist to that end. Yeah, I will. I'll do that today. It's one of the tasks I'll do today. Start a new YouTube playlist for the Return to Japan playlist. Yeah, as opposed to the Return to the USA playlist. And maybe I'll make this the first video on that. I will. This will be the first video in that playlist. Okay. I think that's enough of that one. Oh, and the benefit, of course, of having a Great Life Adventure, one or more, is that it becomes your story. It becomes part and parcel of your character. It becomes who we are. And it is possible to be forced into a Great Life Adventure. Witness all the men and women who have gone to war and who have survived and who have come back with a Great Life Adventure that can, in some cases, destroy them or form the centerpiece of their being. It's a heavy word. Okay, so now I did that, the Great Life Adventure, and then now comes the hold on. The risk of avoiding risk. Life has surface level risks, and there are 5: education, career, home, family, and security, saving for retirement. I call them surface level risks because they're things that are easier to attend to, because our whole life, our whole society is built around these, from childhood all the way to old age. We are encouraged, and there's entire institutions set up to help us to get an education, a job, find someone to spend our life with, get a home, and save for our old age. The deep risk, and they're hard, but they're doable. The deep risk, and a lot of people, that's the whole life, they focus on those. The deep risk is finding oneself. The risk of not spending the time and making the effort and taking the risk of discovering or creating, more likely, our personality and our identity. We have a personality, but our character, developing our character as distinct from our personality. Character requires development. It's tough to do both, the surface and the risk, deeper stuff. People that usually go for the deep stuff neglect the surface. People that focus on the surface tend to neglect the deep one. Of the two, the riskier one is to not go deep. Some people don't seem to be driven to do that, but if you are one that is, if you feel that pull, if you feel a pull to get on the path of wildness and have a great life adventure, and you're in your 20s and you don't do it, watch out. You're going to pay a price later, because likely it's not going to go away. And you're going to be drawn to that all your life. And it has a shelf life. You can't do that in older age. It has diminishing returns. You can try after you retire to have a great life adventure. And it will be something, but it wouldn't be the same as if you did it when you're 27. There's just something different. So my strong recommendation is to finish college, drop the diploma off with mom and dad and say, I've done it. I've satisfied the first of those 5. I'll be back in 5 years. Now it's time for me to run deep. And come back 5 years later. I love to describe this. Ding dong on the doorbell of your folks, and they open the door, and there you are, sunburned, hair bleached from the sun, maybe a ragged scar down one cheek, limping, broke, clothes tattered, but grinning from ear to ear. The kind of smile that comes not just from the face, not from the mouth, but from the eyes. You were smiling from the eyes. That's when you know it's been something sincere. And maybe broken inside too. Lucky you. Lucky you if you got broke on the inside too. Suffering maybe, in pain. Pain here too. Lucky you. What a great life adventure you had. And you know what? Even if you don't survive, that's okay too, if it kills you. Eric didn't survive his great life adventure. He didn't survive this life, but he lived a very good life, albeit very short. If you don't know who Eric is, read my first book, No More Looking Out for Number 1, available on Amazon. Anyway, yeah, that's the risk of avoiding risk. And the great life, and I think I covered that one enough. The next one is, the next principle is sin and damnation. There are 7 sins in my worldview, and they mostly relate to being untrue, believing things that are possibly untrue, and being a damned gossip. So here they are. Falsity, being untrue, being a liar. Credulity, believing things too readily. Faith, believing things where the fact that you believe it, that you want to believe it, is your foundation for the belief, which is a circular thing. That doesn't make any sense, and is just a shortcut to get you where you want to be. It's not a good thing to do. Faith is not a virtue, it's a sin. This is superstition. Need I say more? Dogma, believing things because of tradition and being impressed by maybe a great canonical text. Authority, being impressed by someone's stature, position, office, their funny hat, and also the fact that many people seem to believe that, the consensus of the many is no reason to believe. And then the last sin, number 7, is gossip, talking about others behind their back in such a way that if you suddenly discovered that they were listening to what you said, you'd be embarrassed. Don't do that. Just don't do that. And don't do any of these damn sins, because the consequence is damnation in the here and now. A damned life. Damn it. Like sin and damnation. Okay, the next one is, the next principle, that is complete oblivion. Okay, without a soul, and without absolute right and wrong, and without any evidence of any deity, no gods, there's no heaven or hell, that means that when we're dead, it's complete oblivion for us. An oblivion unlike the oblivion we knew before we were born, because with that, we eventually came out of that. We emerged from that. We're not going to emerge again after we're dead. That's going to be it. And we're not going to ever see one another again, because there is no afterlife. There's no good reason to think it, at least. So we won't have a happy reunion with our loved ones. We won't ever have a chance to reconcile any differences that we parted ways on. And we won't see justice served in any hereafter. No, as Hitchens used to say, no great amusement parks, one naughty, one nice. Complete oblivion. That's what waits after the horror show. After that comes, am I there already? Yes, the season of philosophy, a time to record what we've learned along the way. Keep the pen and paper handy, especially if you've peppered your life with great life adventures of various sizes. And then after the season of philosophy comes the bullseye aim, shooting for the mark but usually missing, keeping that in mind. It's very rare that we hit the mark. Usually we're going to miss. And that gives us a little latitude to forgive ourselves when we try our best and fail. If not outright, because we will fail outright. Sometimes you'll completely miss the target, but usually you might get it somewhere near that with practice. And then bullseye aim, the uphill climb, a reminder to keep steadily climbing upward, up, 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 not resting on my laurels. Arena, is that right? Uphill climb. Arena and utility is next. Life is an arena for the development of our objectives for the development of our principles in pursuit of our objectives. And if we practice these, if we keep them in mind, they'll be hanging there ready for us to use, keeping them well oiled and tuned. Next is, after your arena and utility is, nothing is enough. A reminder beyond temperance to abstinence, to keep an idea that the best returns come from nothing. I almost said no investment, which I'd love to entertain that idea. No investment, no return. What a lucky state, really? I don't know. I don't think so. That doesn't sound right. But still, desiring nothing except something very base. Like I desire a safe and a warm place to be, like I am right now. And you can't see it, but I've got all my books right there on the shelf. I'll show you. All these books. Simple retreat, a simple investment. I've got all of them to read. The ones on the right side I've read. The ones on the left I have yet to read. And a good place to read them where I am right now. That's enough. It ain't quite nothing, but it's pretty close to nothing, especially in the American paradigm of consumption. A nice, good place to sit with a little good light, a little ready access to some tea and coffee, and my dogs and my family. This is good. This is plenty. Okay, nothing is enough. And the last principle now is the principle of fun, a reminder to enjoy life. Enjoy it in the moment of now, and enjoy the anticipation of what's to come, and enjoy the reminiscence, the recollection, the reflection on what has been. And that's it. That's my Good Life Creed. All right, let's plan for today. It's a Sunday morning. Chores are done. Shopping is done. I have just a few things I need to do. I need to take the motorcycle. I don't need to get gas. I think I can get gas tomorrow on my way home from work. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Don't really have anything to do and no plans. So I'll finish this, upload this video, get on my Bible, read a chapter of the Bible, study the chapter of the Bible, think about it, and then I will take the dogs out for a walk, feed them, and then commence to reading until until Yumiko gets up. Emily won't be up for hours. And then Yumiko and I maybe can do something fun today. Maybe go out and have lunch somewhere. That would be fun. Okay. Remember, let's seek out a life that will cause us to smile from our eyes. That's a good aim. Be safe, but not too safe. Take care.